All right, guys, Joe Youngblood here with Whitetail Habitat Solutions. It is that day, planting day. We're going back over our weed berry here. Got my wife, got my cousin Mike out here graciously helping. Taking a look at our weed barrier. Someone did comment, I kind of forget right now, I totally forgot who, about putting, some shovels of dirt on here. Super helpful, guys. A box of 500 stakes, I think they're almost 50 bucks a piece. So it's really helpful to kind of make do with what's here. By putting little piles of dirt on the weed barrier, it's not like you're gonna have a ton of weeds, they'll die out obviously, but growing above the weed barrier, it's not a huge thing unless you totally covered it in dirt. You could also probably throw some mulch down and different things like that. Some of the pins, guys, you can see are puffed up a little bit. I've been stepping on them. I've been pushing them down because we did not till under the weed barrier. So if you guys have that equipment or you're borrowing it, feel free to till, put your weed barrier down, and then stake it in, and it'll hold a lot better without that poofiness. It takes a little bit of time for those weeds to die. So what do we have going on here in the middle? Right here we have 4 trees, okay? Like I've always said, the 6-foot cuttings, all right? They're about 18 inches into the ground. These are hybrid poplar and hybrid willow, and we kind of spaced them out just in a little 4 area. And we did 2 of each. So God forbid one dies, which, is plausible, but maybe one of the species just isn't growing as well as another in your soil type. So we mixed them up. We did the same things on the legs. So our 12-inch or 24-inch cuttings, we spaced out. So like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, I think over there somewhere. Pretty funny. Oh, I missed one over here. Anyway, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we alternated silky willow and dappled willow. So some meant to be better deer browse, and some meant to just be a little bit more of the cover variety silky willow that the deer don't prefer to eat as much unless it's right in their path or things of that nature. If you guys want faster growing, the larger cuttings, they don't need to be 6 feet, of course, but don't lock me out in here. I see what you're doing. If you want a little bit faster, you could do the 24-inch cuttings, or the 12-inch. Those 12 inches, we're pushing 9 inches into the ground, so they're only sticking in 3 inches or so above the weed barrier. Then we have our T-posts, right? These are 100-foot circumference circles, or 30 foot or so in diameter, 96 technically circumference. And then we have the 7-foot high deer netting. This deer netting, first time using it, of course. It was at Tractor Supply. I got the cheaper, I think it was like 15 bucks a net. Still adds up, of course, but you can't be too taut with it. You're gonna probably rip it at times. So you just gotta kind of be cognizant. So we're affixing the deer net to the T-post with the zip ties. I did end up switching out and getting these reusable zip ties, so I thought that was kind of cool. They're the same price, and that is going all the way around the circle. So there we have it. We got the weed barrier, pushing some of the stakes back down. We put a little piles of dirt on to keep that down. We have the 6-foot cuttings in the middle, and we have 4 12-inch cuttings on each leg. So 6 legs, that would be 24 cuttings. Other things we did today, guys, is throw some red osier dogwood. You can kind of see this opening. This is actually an opening, if you remember the dropping oaks, like bedding video. Is it okay to cut oaks, I think it was called. And there was a large group of them back there. So it totally was okay. And oaks actually do hinge well, if you don't know that. So in a big kind of pool of water on the outskirts, which it will all dry up anyway, it won't just stay underwater. I did a lot of the red osier dogwoods cuttings back there. I even dropped a few trees way back there to get the sunlight into that pocket, even though the cuttings might be off the actual pocket itself. And then over here, Carrie, the wife, and I kind of mixed in some of the leftover cuttings that we had just through here. These we probably won't fence. I'm just gonna get a feel for how the deer are taking some of these cuttings that aren't being fenced, and how much they nibble on them and things like that. So we'll see, how that works if they're not fenced, just for future years. So we kind of spread those out, and we're more towards the inner part of our property where I've done some edge feathering. We have, you can't tell too much now, but we have some like switchgrass pockets, and then part of the food plot, which a little bit of it I think I will actually be removing. We're gonna add some chestnut trees back here for a nice morning spot, and then draw those deer up to the front into some of the pass through, and then the holding plots way up at the top. So I wanted to bring that to you guys. I think you've seen a full pocket, but I'll make sure you guys have seen a full pocket and what that looks like. I'm going to get some heavier duty stakes, not just these little metal landscape ones, for the border of the netting, just to kind of keep some of the netting down to prevent some of the smaller critters that will still probably munch on these, being that, you know, some of them we only have 3 inches on the top, so even rabbits, things like that, can be munching on those. So I might get some different stakes just for around the bottom of those. Otherwise, we've been doing a great job with our stuff that we've bought and talked about, supplies, all the different plantings. Picked up some of these hand pruners this morning. So if you do have some 2-footers or something you want to cut down, turn them into 12 inches, maybe they're not going into the ground as much. It's very important, guys. One of the most important things is getting those cuttings most of the way submerged, depending on how big they are. If you don't, they're more susceptible, of course, to dying, and you've just wasted your time. So definitely try and get them in, again, 12 inches, 9 inches in the ground, just as an example. And if you can't get the 2-footers in, the red osier actually was getting those 2-footers in a lot, well over a foot, 18 inches. So hope that helps. And that's it, guys. So this is going to be great cover, great food. We will probably leave this deer net up for a year or two. I'll bring back to you how it's growing, what's doing better, what's doing worse. We have some sandy areas. We have 11 or 12 of these pockets that we're going to be doing that way. We'll also be adding some of the red osier dogwood in some wet areas. And we have a variety of hard mast and soft mast trees that I'm going to bring to you as well when we get to those. But these came in, the other ones came in as well, and they got to get in the ground rather soon, right? Try to keep those moist, but usually within a couple of days, you got to get those into the ground. These cuttings for the day or two that I had before we got them in, I stuffed, if you saw that picture, all the 12 and 24 inches in the fridge, and I took the 6-footers and I put the ends in a bucket or a 5-gallon bucket or a garbage can and stuck them in water and just left the bottoms in there for quite some time. They're passing me up on work, so I got to get back at it. Any questions, leave them in the comments below, guys. But these are going to be awesome deer bedding and food pockets for many years to come. Excited to see how fast those tall ones grow. I'll see you guys next time.